What is up, everybody? Steve here with you on the Dugout Dispatch. Right-hand man, Tyler Edmonds, everybody. Happy New Year, Tyler.
Happy New Year, dude. We got an intro video. That's pretty cool. That was pretty cool.
Year, new intro video.
New year, new intro, baby. Happy New Year.
I love it. What'd you do for New Year's? Did you watch any highlight clips of
Dude, I was in bed by I think I was in bed by 10 o'clock, but
10 o'clock.
Watched a little football. I know we're a baseball show, but what a college football playoff it's been, man.
Oh yeah. It's so much parity has went on in college football this year, and I think a lot of that has to do because we can pay college athletes now, and so many upsets has happened.
I'm just glad I haven't bet at all during this because I would have lost everything.
I haven't either. And last week, I remember texting the guys, shout out to the Water Boys College Football Show, which I'm a co-host on with our boy Aaron Inman and Strez. Make sure you check out the Water Boys. But yeah, I remember texting them. Pretty much everybody we picked last week was losing. And then it got to the very last game, and I was like, it was the Ole Miss game. And I was like, I'm just about to put a bet on Ole Miss, just why not? Everybody else that seemed to be the underdog or the one that you wouldn't expected to won last week. So I don't know. It's been fun. There's been a lot of parity, that's for sure. But yeah, switching back over to baseball, there's been some stuff going on, man. Been some stuff going on and some stuff not going on.
Yeah.
So we got two of the up-and-coming star Japanese players. Murakami signs before his deadline with the Chicago White Sox and crosstown rivals of the Cubs. And then we got
White Sox.
Yeah, I mean, good for them. I thought they were
good for them taking a chance on a. I mean, I guess you could say a big name player, a guy that broke the single season home run record in Japan and everything like that, and everybody wants to say they're skeptical about how he's going to transition. But hey, good for the White Sox on taking a chance, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they'll get him figured out. Coach him up. We'll see what happens with him in spring training, see how he translates. I think there's a lot of power there. I think I read the past 6 seasons in Japan, he's at least, I think, hit 30 homers. So we'll see what happens. Chicago White Sox came in there at the very end with rumors saying that they were interested in pitcher Amai. Shield's trying to remember how to say his first name. Tiatsu Amai. Don't come for me in the comment sections, but pitcher Amai signs a 3-year deal, I believe, right, with the Houston Astros. And that was probably one of the most biggest surprise signings this offseason, because you just didn't hear anything at all about them coming in, potentially even just interested in him. It seemed like, there at the end, the main two teams that you kept hearing and seeing rumors about on X was Chicago Cubs and the New York Yankees. And then, of course, the White Sox came in there at the very end. Apparently they were interested. But he gets a 3-year deal that maxes out at $63 million and contains an opt-out after every year, which is interesting. It's the second largest AAV for any Japanese-born pitcher behind World Series MVP Yamamoto.
I mean, I was surprised, like you said. I thought the Cubs were gonna jump in and get him there right before his deadline was. But
yeah,
good for the Astros. You get an opt-out every year. So I think a lot of people had him predicted at going over $100 million. And I guess it just goes to show maybe the uncertainty that they have in Amai. But with that being said, I look at it this way. If Amai is opting out after this coming up season, then that only means he was really good for the Astros and he's going to get more money. So kind of a win-win for Houston, because with those opt outs. I mean, on one end, on one side of it, you look at it and you're like, man, I wish we could have him for at least one, at least more than 1 year, uh, especially if he has an outstanding rookie season. But on the other end, if he's opting out, that can only mean that 2026 was really, really good for Amai. But
Yeah.
very surprised that it was the Astros. I really was, because like me and you were texting back and forth and saying at the gym, Amai, man, I thought he was the one they were going to get, but yeah, it was just not to be. And hooray for Houston.
And I think that puts Houston at about what, 6 starters. Of course, you got their number one ace, Hunter Brown. Now Amai.
They just lost Fromber,
Javier.
so they had to do something to replace Fromber, because Fromber was one of their best pitchers. Yeah, he had that little situation with his backup catcher last year, and I know we'll get to it later, but maybe that's part of the reason why we haven't seen Fromber sign with anybody. But they had to do something, because Houston is still a really good team. You look at that lineup. They didn't have Yordan Alvarez basically most of the season. You had Jose Altuve playing second base. Christian Walker had a down year. Carlos Correa gets traded over there from the Twins and didn't really have a good second half of the season, but now he's playing third base. But you look at that lineup, Jeremy Pena, and I'm sure there's somebody else I'm missing out, but that lineup is still good. Houston, I want to say, was it last year, their first year they had not made the playoffs since maybe almost 10 years. Something crazy. They had some crazy streak. And now this Amaya signing, and I get it, you can say about a lot of teams, but if that lineup is clicking, and I don't see a reason why it won't, I can see them easily winning the AL West and being a dominant team in the AL overall.
I think a lot of people forget about the Christian Walker pickup. I think was last year when they picked him up. Of course, you got him at first base. Isaac Paredes.
That was that was last year, because he.
Yeah.
You Paredes, I forgot about. Yeah, he's a quietly good player.
Oh yeah, hit great there in the Crawford boxes there. Of course, coming into a sophomore year for the Astros, Cam Smith, who was a part of that trade for Kyle Tucker for the Chicago Cubs. Got Jake Myers, Nick Allen, Carlos Carrera, Jeremy Pena, Yordan Alvarez, and even for the starting pitchers, of course, Hunter Brown, your number one ace, Christian Javier, Mike Barrows, Spencer Arrighetti, AJ. Remember how to say his last name.
We were just talking about him in the pre-show, too. We can't forget that freaking dragon in their bullpen and Josh Hader.
Yeah, Josh Hader. Yep.
So this Amaya signing, it was a surprise, but at the same time, now that you think about it, and now that you look at that roster, it's kind of not, because if everybody's healthy and everybody's clicking, that Houston Astros team is it's looking like it could be a typical Houston Astros team.
I'm telling you, man, I'm going to go ahead and call it now. Hot take. I think that Amai is going to have a pretty good season there, and he's probably going to be gone after the first year. And here's why. Because they have pitching depth with the starting pitching, and I think he's going to pitch every 6 days. And so when you're pitching every 6 days and you're getting, an extra day of rest, and he's getting more time, to kind of find his bearings. And I think he'll at least probably get 24 starts in the regular season. And if they make it to the playoffs, I could see 2 extra, so 26 total starts for the year.
Do you think we'll see several teams in 2026 go with the 6-man rotation? You think that's possible?
Yeah. I think it would be smart to potentially have 1 or 2 guys in your bullpen that can be openers as well, because it's so fascinating to watch, to sit back and to survey over the past couple of years how pitching is evolving and how hitting is evolving. Because you may be some new hot pitcher in the league. Like one of my favorite examples to go to is Shota Imanaga who was picked up 2 years by the 2 years ago by the Cubs. Now, what was fascinating about him to me is that he signed with the Cubs first time playing in the majors when he was like what 30. So he's got all this experience already, not only just pitching in Japan, just pitching and playing baseball in general. And he's got that, and then he comes in as a rookie at 30, which is kind of a little bit unheard of. And we see kind of what happened, but had a great first year. The thing is what about the sophomore year? It doesn't matter, if you're an offensive player or a pitcher, because people start to figure you out. So it's just like Jackson Holiday had a great rookie year. His second year, he struggled a little bit. So yeah, that'll be the thing moving forward to moving forward for a my after this 2026 season, because not a lot of people, well, nobody has seen him yet. So we'll see how people adjust to that. It's always that second year they make adjustments, and you may get into that sophomore slump. So I know, like, a lot of rumors there the past couple of weeks, 3 or 4 weeks, I guess, before Amai got signed, was could he be a starting pitcher in MLB? I was reading some stuff, listening to some different, baseball shows and whatnot, and it seemed like after the winter meetings, maybe the general consensus for like the vast majority of GMs across Major League Baseball thought that Amai was probably suited better for being a bullpen guy. Of course, he didn't want to be a bullpen guy. Apparently, he wants to be a starting pitcher. So, we'll see what happens. Again, I think that he'll have a pretty good year because they do have a good coaching staff there in Houston that can help prepare him. Like I said, a lot of guys haven't seen him. I think he's got like what, 2 pitches, I think I read, just a slider and a splitter. We'll see how that works out for him. He's got to be careful. Again, you're pitching in Houston. There's guys that can go in there and hit great, like, guys that's not big home run guys, like Nico Horner's first one that comes to my mind. And then he goes and plays in Houston last year, and I think he had 2 homers in 1 game. So you got to watch how you pitch, there in Houston, but we'll see what happens. I think he's going to have a pretty good year. I think he'll get a better offer to be a starting pitcher for another team at the end of this season. But what's it going to be like for him going into a sophomore year after everybody's done seen him and figured him out a little bit? Guess we'll have to wait and see. Then you add in the CBA at the end of this year. How many guys are going to go play baseball overseas? Will he go back to Japan and play?
That's an option for a lot of guys like that, especially him. Shota Imanaga will be a free agent after this season. He's another guy that could go back overseas and just fit right in with the team that he's used to playing with. So, yeah, it'll be interesting.
So if we take a look, and I know we've been talking about all offseason, top free agents, but it's crazy. We're probably Tyler, halfway through the offseason. We got like 5.5 weeks until pitchers and catchers report, and spring training feels like, it's almost here and baseball's almost back. So it's crazy, though, just to look at this list and to see at least half, maybe 6 of the names have not signed yet. Like, to me, I'm surprised that at least the first 3 names haven't signed yet with anybody. I figured the first 3 names would have been off the board within the first couple of weeks, maybe couple of days of the off season. I figured Alex Bregman would have probably already signed back to the Red Sox, and I figured Bo Bichette and Kyle Tucker would, in ink, officially be a Blue Jay right now.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. It makes you wonder if maybe they're all just going back and forth with numbers because, maybe they are skeptical about what's going to happen next offseason, and so they're throwing out numbers, this and that. But it's crazy. Like, I seen somewhere where the freaking Dodgers, were possibly interested in signing Kyle Tucker for a short-term high AAV contract. Where 4 years. You do something like that, and he's like maybe your 5th or 6th best player on the team, which, as much as I would hate that, and this is no, I'm not trying to sound like I'm a salty Cubs fan and throwing shade, because it would be very smart for the Cubs to pick up the phone and call Kyle Tucker and give him that long-term contract. But Kyle Tucker, and this is just from me watching him this last season, you watching him this last season, he's not that guy that is going to take the ball for your team and just say, "Hey, I'm the guy. I'm the superstar of this team. I'm the head honcho. I'm the clubhouse leader, all that kind of stuff." He's not that guy. He's really not. He's a really, really good baseball player. He is, but he's not he's not your franchise poster boy. He's not.
Yeah.
And as crazy as it sounds, it wouldn't shock me at all if a team like LA, he signed a contract with the Dodgers, because with that, he can hide. He hides in that lineup. It's funny to even say that. You can hide behind Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, all those guys. And
that relieves them too, because we saw Mookie Betts slump a little bit this
just a little
past
bit.
season. And, certain guys are getting a little bit older now, like Freddie Freeman. How much longer is he going to play for? And perfectly well said, because that's exactly what I thought too. He could just show up to work every day and just be another dude on the team, play. He could fit in the middle of the lineup. There's not that pressure. There's not that stress that he has like this past season playing in Chicago. I mean, it's a great pickup. I'm definitely glad to get 92 wins in the regular season for our Cubbies and see them just literally one game away from the NLCS. But I can't imagine the pressure that he probably had. I think one of the biggest holdups maybe for Kyle Tucker that a lot of teams may have a question about is just the injury prone stuff.
Yeah.
And
sure.
It was, I don't know, it was kind of weird and kind of like a weird vibe. The last injury that he had of the season last year when he got put on the IL, and he didn't want to do the rehabbing with the Cubs and what they wanted to do with him. Apparently he wanted to rehab in Tampa. And it seemed like maybe there was some kind of like rub or some riffraff maybe there, allegedly.
It almost felt like he didn't want to take that stint off in order to save his value this offseason. But yeah, the injury history is definitely a thing with him, because I want to say he hasn't had a full season in the last at least 2 years, possibly 3 years. I don't think he's had a full season. But when he's healthy, he is one of the best players in baseball. But then also you look at teams like, and I say the Dodgers, but there's other teams. It's funny. I think eventually it comes down to the two World Series teams in the Padres, or in the Blue Jays and the Dodgers. But the Mets are right there too. The Mets, you lose Pete Alonso. They've traded away their core. They've either A, got to do something for next season as far as fill that void, or B, they need to figure out who they are as a franchise right now and say, hey, we're going to roll with what we got and build from within with our farm, even though that's crazy to think with Uncle Steve as their owner and all the money he spends. But the Mets would be a team, and you could say that with a lot of free agents, but the Mets would be a team that you would think they'd want to pick the phone up on Kyle Tucker. At the same time, I don't know if Kyle Tucker would be prone to playing in New York, either New York team. But it's just crazy.
Go out and get Cody Bellinger, make him a Met. It is crazy because when you think about it, here recently I've been starting to wonder, and I'd love to know what everybody else, all of our viewers think. Drop us a comment on any of these topics we're talking about. But, I'm a fan and have been a fan of no cap on the salary. If anything, a floor. I'm all for these ball players going out making as much money as they can. I'm all for teams spending money to invest in their team. It's investment. That's how you're going to win. But, after the Shohei Ohtani signing with the Dodgers and the Juan Soto signing to the New York Mets, is it getting certain like a couple of players, more players, hopes up that they can get a lot more money for a lot more years. I mean, players obviously would love to have that security, right? Of getting some kind of deal for a couple $100 million like that, for like 6 to 10 years, somewhere in there. I get it for the security purposes of it. But, as a team or an owner, you would just really hate to spend that much money, especially on multiple players,
Yeah.
and they just flop after like 2 years. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens with Shohei Ohtani and Juan Soto. If they'll live up to the hype. I think Ohtani will,
I think
maybe
Otani
before Juan
already has.
Soto. But you can't just keep going out and doing these deals like that, right? And deferring all this money. But
I
at
mean,
some point, I think you got to be realistic at the same time. If I'm a player, let's say maybe like Kyle Tucker, it's like, yeah, you're the number one guy on the free agent board right now, but you just can't expect to get like a Vladdy Jr. contract.
no, I think.
Like maybe you'll just be better off if you go somewhere for like 2 to 4 years with a higher AAV.
Oh
What
yeah,
do you
I
think?
got for sure a
Is it
guy
getting
like Kyle
players'
Tucker.
hopes up?
I don't. I mean, guys like those long-term contract guys. I mean, there's only when you look around, there's really not even that many long. I mean, you've got Shohei, you've got Juan Soto, you've got Bryce Harper, Mike
Yeah,
Trout, Fernando Tatis, and I'm probably missing two or three more. But when you look around, there's not that many teams that have contracts like those long contracts. Uh, I think with each player, it just depends on as far as who's available, who's that superstar franchise type player. You look at Kyle Tucker, and it's like, call me crazy. Okay, here's an example. You look what the Angels just did with Anthony Rendon. Anthony
yeah,
Rendon wins the World Series with the Nationals in 2019, gets his big fat contract with the Los Angeles Angels, and it's the classic case of I got my money, I'm good, and basically openly admitted to every season, just yeah, I'm not playing this year. It's not happening. And
yeah,
maybe he didn't say that. Obviously, he didn't straight up say it most of the time. He it just so happened he got hurt at the beginning of the year and all this every year. It was just a thing. Um,
yeah,
a lot of teams don't want to end up in a situation like that. And I'm not saying Kyle Tucker is Anthony Rendon, but a player like Kyle Tucker just doesn't seem like that guy that just is in love with the sport and everything that comes with it. He's a guy that seems, and there's
yeah,
nothing wrong with this. He's a guy that seems like game starts, he's a player, game's over, that's it, and just leave it at that. Puts his numbers up every year, and that's fine. He just doesn't seem like that poster guy that I would want to give 8+ years to. And to agree with you, yeah, a player like him would probably be better off with a short-term, high AAV contract to a team like the Dodgers, and almost be like this, almost be like a bounty hunter. He just picks
yeah.
up his contract, his short-term contract for this team to try to win a ring, and at least get his money, and there you are. But yeah, it's just going to be interesting to some of these players. I know, like on our list, you also brought up Bo Bichette. I think with Bichette, I think a lot of it is figuring out where he's going to play next year. Is he going to be a second baseman or is he going to be a shortstop? You saw what happened in the second half of the season, missing out most of the year. You would think Toronto, because, I mean, you look at that lineup last year with him in it, and it just fit so perfectly. But
Yeah.
you lead the league in hits in the AL for the last few years. A lot of teams would want that. You look at the Yankees. You look at, and I know we're going to talk about it later with one of their recent hirings. But you look at a team like the Phillies, who just hired Don Mattingly. You look at the Yankees, who need something else besides what they have. I know Cody Bellinger is apparently their number one priority. They've admitted that, but getting Cody Bellinger back is just going to make them – they're just trying to get back to what they were last year. They've got to add more, and Bo Bichette would be a guy that would definitely –
He's number one.
that.
I'd put him before Kyle Tucker on the
I
free
mean,
agent. He would be number one, and here's why: because I think it gets overpraised. Too much glamour and glitz goes to these big power hitters, and I get it; it's great. But give me a Nico Horner and a Bo Bichette all day long.
be
I'll take a
nice.
full lineup with that. Maybe just one or two guys that's
Yep.
got some power
It'd be a
that
nice
can
fit.
PR.
It'd be a real
Because
nice
here's
fit.
why he's perfect to put like in the third spot on a lot of teams. He's like a Nico. He's runners in scoring position. That's the biggest thing that I'm looking for, in a star at bat. The homer is sexy. We can't disagree with that. But with runners in scoring position, how do you hit then? What's your OPS plus? And let me go back real quick to add a second part to that question. When I was asking, like, is it getting unrealistic for some of these players to think they're going to get all this money or amount of years, like Otani or Juan Soto? Another reason why I kind of asked that question, I want to throw this at you. I want to throw four teams at you. I want to throw the Chicago Cubs because their superstar PCA. They're going to have to figure out a deal for him hopefully soon. You got Ellie with the Cincinnati Reds. You got Paul Skeens with the Pittsburgh Pirates, and even Tarek Skubal with the Tigers. So those four guys, do you see any of those four teams giving them a Juan Soto, an Otani, or even a Vladdy-esque type contract? Or do they just
You're
do what
talking
the
about
Brewers do?
so you're talking about between the Cubs and PCA, the Reds and Ellie De La Cruz, the Pirates and Paul Skeens.
Mm-hmm.
That one's
Those
just
are younger,
laughable.
upcoming.
I was going to say that
Right.
one's just laughable because Pittsburgh's not going to pay nobody. And it's pathetic. It's
Brandon
just
Lowe.
sad.
No
It's
sense.
sad to even say that. I'd say out of all four of those teams, if there's going to be one ownership to pay a long-term contract on anybody, I'll be honest. I don't trust the Cubs in extending PCA to a long deal just because they don't
He's
do
done
that.
turned one offer down last year already.
Yep. And just real quick, it makes you wonder, not to turn this into just a straight Cubs podcast, but it makes you wonder last year what that deal was. And it makes you wonder if PCA wishes he would have signed that contract after the second half that he had.
I don't
And
know
it's
the
going to be
years, but it was around 90 or 100. I'm pretty
and it's
sure.
going to be really interesting to see this year for PCA. It's not a make or break year because he's still under that team control. But this season is going to be an eye opener just to see what his contract could look like. Is he going to perform this year without a Kyle Tucker in the lineup? Or is he going to slump? We'll see.
Yeah.
But
what about if you're a fan of the other three teams, though? Like, I'm friends with a bunch of Reds fans, and I know that you are too.
Oh, yeah.
They are going to be heartbroken if the Reds don't extend Ellie De La Cruz.
And the sad thing is, I don't think they will. They're the same.
No.
They're in that same boat with Pittsburgh. They're in that same boat with other teams that just I mean, you could almost say similar to the Cubs. Here's the sad thing about the Reds. They offered Kyle Schwarber a contract knowing that they were getting him on this team for the ticket sales. He was a Cincinnati guy. He's a local dude. They dropped the ball on him. I don't want to say they dropped the ball. Just Philly had a little bit better of an offer and just better chance to win, all that kind of stuff. And the sad thing is they basically openly admitted that they had enough money to pay Kyle Schwarber. And since then, since Kyle Schwarber signed with Philly, what have they done? Like, why not take that money and call a Bo Bichette or call a Kyle Tucker or an Alex Bregman or whoever? Like, if I'm a Reds fan, I would be so pissed off knowing that you had at least what, 125 million to 130, 140, however much you had offered to Kyle Schwarber. It didn't work out, and it's basically been crickets ever since with that ownership. And that's because that is what that ownership does. That is what they are.
Like what, 3 players this offseason so far? I know one of the first ones I saw was a backup catcher. I'm assuming he's going to be a backup catcher. Ben Rockford, who was just on the World Series team. The Dodgers won a ring. Him, and I want to say like maybe 2 bullpen pieces, I think. And that's like about it for the Reds.
They've done – I want to say they got a hitter, maybe was it Jared? No, not Jared Kelenic. He went to the White Sox. Uh, Either way, they haven't done much since then. But like, if I'm a
But
Reds fan,
they
yeah,
made that offer though. To your point, they made that offer to
yeah.
Kyle Schwarber, and then they haven't done anything since.
It's
Or
like, hey, we
Pirates.
have all this money. We don't want it. We didn't spend it. We
Yeah.
tried to. We don't want to spend it, and now they just put it back in the
Pirates,
pocket.
same thing. They were going to make a
Pirates,
big
same
offer
thing.
for
If I'm
Schwarber, and then they
anybody-
signed Brandon Lowe, and that was for a good chunk of change.
Brandon
apparently.
Lau, and they signed
Sorry.
somebody else. He came over from
Tampa.
he played for the Orioles and he played for the Padres. Outfielder and a first baseman.
I'm about to look at it.
Gosh, my mind's gone blank. Lefty. Either way, if I'm out of those 4 teams, I think I would probably lean towards Detroit and hoping that they would offer a large deal to Tarek Skubal, even though there's rumors that he's probably going to get traded this year. And not to whatever, but if they're going to trade him, I would trade him right now instead of waiting until the deadline, because this gives you enough time to possibly get you're probably going to get more right now than you would at the deadline for a guy like Tarek Skubal. But out of those 4 teams, I would probably pick the Tigers extending Tarek Skubal, even though it's not going to happen.
Right, and you just hate it for these fan bases. Like, when Skubal leaves, I just feel so bad for the Tigers fans.
Because the Tigers play
sell tickets and
similar to the Cubs. The Tigers play in a winnable division.
Yeah,
they're more of a cluster jam than the NL Central is. But yeah, they play in that division is. I mean, it's a dogfight every year because every team is just so mid.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
Look at the Twins. The Twins could have traded away half their roster at the deadline, and they were like, "Well, no, we'll regroup next year, and we're going to try to win next year." So,
absolutely. Well, if we look at some potential trade rumors going on, and I'm going to try not to get too passionate about this one. Instead of upset, I say passionate. I'm going to try not to get too passionate about this one. Freddie Peralta from the Milwaukee Brewers. So I was listening to a baseball show in my car earlier today, and I was telling you about it off air before we went on, and it got me thinking, of course, about our Cubbies, but we'll keep that to the side for right now. Of course, I'd love for them to go out and get him. I know you would too. Who wouldn't if you're a Cubs fan? But teams are showing interest in Freddie Peralta. He's got one more year on his deal. He's owed $8 million, which is nothing. I'm going to say it one more time, which is nothing for any average starting pitcher in the MLB. And the Yankees apparently are hot on his trail, which could make sense because Garrett Cole is still coming back.
Yeah, he won't be ready till I'm going to say probably June.
Yeah, and then there's
and
another
Carlos Rodon is out too for a while, so they definitely
So even if it's just a year signing for the Yankees, but I think easily Freddie Peralta could get anywhere between 25 to 32 a year, maybe anywhere between 4 to 6 years with any team. I think every team in Major League Baseball would be interested in Freddie. I mean, shoot, on average, he can at least give you like 5 1/3 or 6 innings with maybe 1 or 2 earned runs with like at least probably 9 Ks. Yeah, I would take that all day long. And we know how the Brewers operate, because they didn't cough up money for Burns. They didn't cough up money for Devin Williams. They traded Josh Hader away. He's not going to be a Brewer.
You know what team? If I'm this team's front office, I'm picking up the phone for Freddie Peralta. You know who that is? And of course, the Cubs, but I think the Cubs, it would cost too much for the Cubs. You know who should pick up the phone and call about Freddie Peralta? And he's one of those 5 teams on that list you just showed. I think it's the Red Sox. You got Sonny Gray this offseason. That was great, but they still need – you've got Garrett Crochet as your one, and then you've got several guys that could be good threes. And you've got a guy in Tristan Casas who's really good. He can hit. But you just got Wilson Contreras. Tristan Casas is at best going to be a bench guy. You put him over in Milwaukee, You put him in a trade package for a Freddie Peralta because the Red Sox got the prospects to do it. And you get Freddie Peralta one year and you try to win that. You try to compete with the Toronto Blue Jays, which, by the way, I know it's kind of a little bit late. We forgot about Okamoto, by the way, which they just picked up Okamoto in the Blue Jays. So they're still trying to, which that's what I love about Toronto is the fact that they were that close to winning a World Series, and all they've done ever since is just add to try to win a ring. But you trade for a guy like Freddie Peralta if you're the Red Sox, and you try to compete with, in my opinion, the AL East favorites in the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy. You know, someone else who's been busy too, and they're kind of high on my list to see what kind of season they have this year is the Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah.
Of course, they got, Pete Alonso, right-handed pitcher Ryan Helsley, Zach Eflin, Shane Baz, Andrew Kittredge came back, and Leota Taveras for a bench piece.
I still think it's going to be interesting to watch them because, like you said, they've got a lot of young guys. Holiday had a better second half last year. Adley Rushman's a big question. His first year was awesome, was great, and now he's just ever since then it's almost like he's just been very not so good, and so that's a big question mark for them. But I still feel like they need at least one other starter because who takes the ball in game one for them as far as a playoff series right now? I don't know. They definitely need that. But
do they sign Framber Valdez?
That would be an amazing pickup for them. That would be Framber Valdez or even I'd say Framber or even who was it? Jesus Chandler. Why's my mind gone blank? The other top pitcher on the market just pitched for the Phillies. Ranger Suarez. That would be a good one. Either one of them two guys would be awesome for the Orioles, but they will be that'll be a fun team to watch next year if the offense can pick it up. And I think it will.
Absolutely. They're going to be fun to watch. And not getting to that one just yet. I don't think we've talked about this in the last episode, but Kirby Yates signed with the Angels. Some more free agent stuff, off-season stuff going on. Who else we got? Coaching. Don Mattingly is a bench coach to Philadelphia. I figured the Blue Jays would have kept him.
I know, right? Because saw the end of that World Series, and you saw everybody going straight to Don Mattingly and hugging that dude and everything. And I want to say he is a major influence, at least when he was in Toronto. He was a major influence in that clubhouse. A guy that, has coached for the Marlins, coached for the Dodgers. He's coached for I know other teams as well. And it kind of makes you wonder if maybe with Philly picking him up, is that Philly's way of kind of saying, hey, Bo Bichette, don't you want to play with your old coach in Donnie baseball? Because the Phillies, here's the thing with the Phillies. You just lost Ranger Suarez, which they could still bring him back. You're still in that window. You're still in that window of winning a ring. They're still good enough to win a World Series next year. You just brought back Kyle Schwarber. They're another team that they still need to add some players because right now they are a Ranger Suarez and a JT Realmuto short of being what they were last year. They have to add something. Bo Bichette at second base. You have Bo Bichette and Trey Turner in the middle, in the middle of your infield.
Well, it'd be like Nico and Bo Bichette playing together.
Think about that. Bo Bichette at the top, Bo Bichette in that lineup with the Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper, Trey Turner. I mean, it wouldn't be a bad fit. But yeah, I like that. I like that addition. It just makes me think, maybe that's kind of like their way of saying, hey, Bo, come on over.
Come on over. We'd love to see you. Some other signings going on. I had to pull it up here. Where'd it go? For the Milwaukee Brewers.
Oh, Danny V.
Yep. Danny V hired as a hitting coach for the Brewers.
I feel like he's going to be one of those guys that's just going to be crushing beers after the game, coming into the office, talking baseball, talking hitting and stuff. He just seems like a dude.
Yeah. Heck yeah. And
And a
Joe
former
Kelly
Cub too, by the way. People forget
is
he never played. I don't think he ever played him. I want to say he was just in their farm. And I can't remember. I know he didn't really get his playing time until I think Seattle. I just can't remember how he made it to Seattle. I don't remember if it was a trade or if he got DFA'd, whatever. But yeah, good for Dan Vogelbach.
We were talking about players earlier like Anthony Rendon hanging it up. Well, a more notable one that's hanging it up, Joe Kelly has announced the end of his playing career after 13 seasons with the Cardinals, Red Sox, Dodgers, and White Sox. Kelly appeared in 3 World Series, pitching to a 2.03 ERA and winning championships with the 2018 Red Sox and 2020 Dodgers.
It's crazy to think that wherever Joe Kelly was, it felt like that's where Kike Hernandez was too.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't think about that. You're right. Absolutely.
It's funny though. Speaking of Joe Kelly, which one will always remember him fighting basically the whole Padres team that one year. But I'm pretty sure when Shohei signed with the Dodgers, him and Joe Kelly worked out an agreement so Ohtani could get number 17. Number 17. And I want to say he bought him and his wife like a brand. It was something, maybe I don't know. I'll try to find it real quick. It's pretty cool. Let me.
That's crazy.
Wait a second. But yeah, it's pretty cool. There's a video out there of there's a video of Joe Kelly and his wife, and
the nice gift from Shohei.
That's just a cool story he'll have for the rest of his life. Ohtani gave me a brand new car for number 17. Or something like that, but that's pretty cool. I like hearing those kind of stories of what I want to say. Juan Soto did it too. With it was either Juan Soto or maybe in Cespedes when he was on the Mets. Somebody did something correct, or somebody else did something correct. I just love hearing those little side stories of what players did to get a jersey number from another player. It's pretty cool.
How it all kind of came to be. That is pretty cool. All right, one of the last things on this episode we're going to get in and talk about is the World Baseball Classic coming up in 2 months ish, towards the end of March. Getting very excited for that, and we're going to look at the starting pitching lineup so far that we have: Tarek Skubal, Paul Skeens, Joe Ryan from the Twins, Clay Holmes, Nolan McLean, and Matthew Boyd. Man, I'm ready for this.
Man,
who's going to pitch first?
I think you got to go with game 1. I think you got to go with the back-to-back AL Cy Young winner in Skubal. But, dude,
I agree.
I get it. They're going to be on pitch counts and all that kind of stuff. But, man, you take a guy like Paul Skeens, and it's kind of sad thinking about it, but this is going to be the closest thing he'll ever come to pitching in a high-leverage game while he's still in Pittsburgh. But man, that's going to be so cool. I'm ready to see the Tarek Skubal versus Shohei Ohtani. I'm ready to see Paul Skeens versus Shohei. I'm ready to possibly see Shohei versus Aaron Judge. If Shohei, I don't know exactly if Shohei's going to be pitching in Japan. I'm sure he'll be pitching for Team Japan. But we got the classic Shohei versus Mike Trout a few years ago. Now, I think everybody's going to want to see the Shohei versus Aaron Judge.
I'm with you. And with that deserves an applause. Or so I thought so.
Can you imagine? Because you know how we're both baseball card guys and all that. Can you imagine what that card, if they have that type of showdown between Shohei and Aaron Judge, can you imagine what that card, there will be some kind of one-of-one World Baseball card, something. Can you imagine what that's going to go for them two? I know they. They haven't faced each other yet. Surely while he was with the Angels, they faced each other, but yeah, it's going to be stupid how much that card will go for.
Oh, absolutely. And
I'm also ready for
The
The
cards
MLB.
after that. I can't wait, dude. Like, there are going to be some cool, like, in-game moment cards that'll
Oh
probably
yeah,
come.
between that and MLB The Show, when the new one comes out, that'll be the first big program, the World Baseball Classic program. But yeah, man, I like it just because spring training, you get excited for the first day of spring training. It's usually around Valentine's Day. And then the games start at the end of February. And yeah, you get excited about the first 2 or 3. And then it's just, can the season start? Now, this year, at least for most of March, we'll get to watch meaningful baseball. Now, yeah, it doesn't count towards the major league season, but meaningful baseball in March is awesome. Which crazy to think about this because I was just looking up the schedule. Opening day is March 26th. Yeah. That's less than 3 months. So, but still, we'll get meaningful baseball before then in the form of Team USA, hopefully getting redemption for the last World Baseball Classic.
Yeah, absolutely. And I saw today, I think it was today, I saw that Tatsu Amai, of course, who just signed.
With he's pitching? He's going to play?
He's not playing.
Well,
he's sitting out.
I can understand a guy like him maybe choosing not to play just because he just signed with a new team in Houston, first time in the majors, and maybe he just wants to keep his focus on that. But and I say USA and Japan, dude. Have you seen the Dominican Republic? Have you seen the Dominican Republic's lineup too? They're going to be tough to play. They're going to be tough to beat too.
They are. And speaking of other countries, Ivan Herrera is going to play for Panama.
Panama, okay.
So that'll be good to see. Saw that came in. Let me ask you this about the starting pitching, though. Do you think this is pretty much the lineup, like Tarek Skubal 1, Paul Skeens 2, Joe Ryan 3, et cetera, Matthew Boyd obviously being the 6th one? I could see this probably being the lineup.
I'd say probably so. And it's going to be one of those things where it'll probably be one of those things, especially with Skubal and Paul Skeens. I think it's just all going to – and I want to say it worked out this way last year too. Like they were pretty stuck on the rotation, just the order of it, and you know, not bumping somebody up a day or two early, because you got to think Mark DeRosa, their manager, he's got a lot of pressure. He's going to have a lot of pressure, and if they were to make that championship game, he's not gonna risk the health of a Paul Skeens or a Tarek Skubal in that game, even though as bad as we would want Team USA to win at all cost, he's not gonna, because he's also in a sense, he's also probably campaigning for a manager position of his own in the majors, which I'm surprised he hasn't got it yet. But I think that'll be it, and they will probably stick. And that's probably half the reason. That's probably the main reason why they got 6 guys, is for the health of those pitchers and just to cut down on the workloads and stuff like that. But man, I can't wait. It's going to be exciting.
What about the guy? His name's on that jersey right behind you. There's rumors out right now that there was a team, Italy, I think.
Anthony Rizzo got an invite. I don't know. I've got a feeling, I don't know, because he's doing Cubs Con in January. Well, in 2 weeks. I don't know. I'm going to say I doubt he plays. It'd be cool to see him do it one more time, but he didn't play at all last year. Boy, that'd be, even though, don't get me wrong, Team Italy, no offense, but I would say no matter what, if he wanted to, he could play. I just don't see it happening. Really don't. Because I follow him a little bit on Instagram. He travels a lot. I'm sure he's probably
too, I think.
I want to say he just had a baby. It was sometime last year.
Oh, the summer.
But yeah, I'm going to bet he probably hasn't picked up a bat. Who knows? I could be wrong. He could be down in his basement right now taking swings, but
he could be.
Actually, he probably hasn't picked up a bat. And I mean, he looks like he's in good shape still. But
he said that he was staying game ready throughout the season last year, just in case something happened, even at the trade deadline. So, even if he has
one more time,
been active for 3 or 4 months, I think he could get back to it if he wanted to. He'd have to start now.
I just don't see it happening. I don't know. Have they announced I know they've announced a lot of the guys, but have they announced like the full man roster yet? I don't think they have they?
I don't think so.
Like, I know
this is the projected World
Yeah,
Baseball
I've seen
Classic.
that, and there's another somebody else committed. I can't remember, but I'm sure they'll probably wait till spring training, see how certain guys feel, relief pitchers and stuff like that, and then I'm going to bet they'll probably spend a week or two with their own camp, and then be like, all right, I'm going to Team USA.
Right. And for those that's not watching or listening through video, just audio, I got the Team USA projected World Baseball Classic lineup right now. They got Bobby Witt Jr. slotted at shortstop, Aaron Judge, right field, DH is Kyle Schwarber, catcher is Cal Raleigh, first base is Bryce Harper, left field Corbin Carroll, third base Gunnar Henderson, second base Bryce Terang, and center field Pete Crow Armstrong. So that's just projections at the moment.
Pete Alonso said he would play. No, Pete Alonso said he would play. And who else? There was a comment about possibly Nick Kurtz, but I don't know if he isn't. I mean, now that Bryce Harper's there, but is Aaron Judge is the captain of that team, right? If you had to pick a captain, is he the captain?
Oh yeah, for sure. I'd say it would definitely probably be him.
I would hope.
The first one that committed, I believe.
Yeah, he was. One guy that I really want to see play, and I know that's an easy one, Tyler, but just for the sake of where he's at in his career, where the franchise is at, I hope Mike Trout agrees to come back and play. But at the same time, you've got to ask, would Mike Trout be willing to take a bench role? Because who'd you have as the DH on there?
Schwarber.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, I'm taking Schwarber over Mike Trout right now if you're talking about DHs. But, I mean, and he's mainly a corner outfielder now. I was going to say, you got to have PCA in that outfield. You're not going to ask Aaron Judge to move. And Corbin Carroll, you could argue right now, is a better player than Mike Trout. I know Mike Trout, is Mike Trout. But he's a guy, though, I just wish he would I wish he would come back to play.
And by far, PCA has the best.
He's not going to win a playoff game with the Angels. So maybe this is his chance. And he probably wants to get back because the last memory, if you remember, the last memory we have of the World Baseball Classic, Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani. Yeah. Shohei Ohtani striking him out to end the thing.
He needs revenge. Dang it.
He needs revenge on his former teammate.
Absolutely. I would love to see it. I think it'd be great for the WBC, but we'll end with I got one or two trivia questions for you.
All right, here we go.
Kind of talk. You just mentioned this guy, which is the answer to this first question I want to ask you. But so, who became the first rookie in MLB history to hit 4 home runs in a single game, going 6 for 6 against the Houston Astros?
Nick Hurts for sure. And what's crazy about that game, he almost had 5 had the wall just been a hair shorter.
Yeah.
But you know what? Now that, because this time of year, you got to find stuff to do to fill the void that's baseball. I may go back and watch that game just to watch that. Yeah.
I noticed MLB Network's running out of stuff to show or commentary show because they're showing games from his previous year this season.
Did you see what they're doing tomorrow?
No. What are they doing?
By the way, yes, tomorrow is January 7th, 1-7, 17. Shohei Ohtani's number. Apparently, all day
recording
tomorrow.
On the 6th, by the way.
Do what? Oh yeah.
And to listeners, we're recording January 6th.
On Wednesday, January 7th. MLB Network, I'm pretty sure all day long, everything they're showing is Shohei Ohtani related. So you ain't got nothing to do on Wednesday. You want to watch some TV? Shohei Ohtani is going to be on TV all day on MLB Network. So.
I hope they show the thing they showed last offseason. This guy, I can't remember what network or what, it may have been MLB Network. He went back to Japan, and they showed where he played like high school ball at and stuff. And when he was in Japan, and it showed like still to this day, like the discipline that these kids have.
It's
like
crazy,
they'll stop in between games or in practice just so they can like pick up on the field, straighten up, stuff like that. The discipline, and
you need to check out. There is a high school tournament in Japan It's like religion over there. It's like the pinnacle of a lot of those, especially of high school baseball. But there's a high school baseball tournament in Japan. I can't think of the name of it. Right, it's legendary. But and I'm pretty sure there's a documentary out there. But if not, there has to be one. I can't wait. You're talking about documentaries and stuff. I can't wait for the Shohei Ohtani documentary. But gosh, I can't remember what it's called. But it's like it's epic. But just look it up. I promise it's crazy. But yeah,
heck yeah. I got one more for you. Right. Which veteran pitcher recorded his 3,000 career strikeout during the 2025 season in what turned out to be his final year? 3,000.
Oh, it's Clayton Kershaw.
Clayton Kershaw.
You
see him back maybe in some capacity as like a pitching coach or something like that, even maybe for the Dodgers?
I mean,
maybe give him 2 or 3 years, let him kind of enjoy.
I was going to say right now with right now, I wouldn't say right now just because what Mark Pryor's done with LA has been great.
Yeah. 100%.
I know he's a Texas guy. Maybe he goes to Texas eventually. I don't know. He may be just a guy that kind of just rides off into the sunset with the family
MLB Network and
maybe pops up here and there. But speaking of those guys, there's 2 guys in that same. Basically, there's been him and 2 other guys throughout their whole career that's always been compared to each other. And these 2 guys have not announced their retirement, and they're probably going to play next year. I kind of hope they do. But Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what they do because
absolutely
Scherzer just pitched in the World Series and did really good. Verlander, he just seems like he's a competitor and wants to compete till I kind of think he wants to like compete with Nolan. I mean, I know he's not going to reach the numbers that Nolan Ryan had, but I think he kind of wants to do the same. Like Nolan Ryan pitched till he was in his 40s. So maybe, I don't know. I'm here for it. I hope he sticks around and pitches.
If Justin Verlander finished the year with the Giants with a sub-3 ERA, 137 strikeouts, and 152
innings. He had the worst luck last year. He didn't get his first win. It felt like 3 months until he got his first win last year, but he wasn't terrible.
He was 4-11. He was 4-11 on his win-loss ratio. He had a sub-1 whip, 1.36 whip over 29 starts.
You know what? You want to know if I may be wrong, but I don't quote him, but I think this is right. He was not the oldest starting pitcher that pitched in a game last year. You know who was? I'll give you a hint. He's a former Cub. And I'll give you another hint. His last game was against the Cubs.
For the Padres? Is he on the Padres?
No, but I'm pretty sure he's pitched. Nope. He pitched for the Royals. The Royals added this guy.
Yes.
Lefty.
Yeah, he came up with the Cubs, right?
Yep.
Didn't he come up through our farm system? I can't think of his name, but I know exactly who you're talking about.
Rich Hill, yeah. Rich Hill blowing the doors with his 81-mile-an-hour fastball, screaming like he was, throwing gas. But, yeah, I want to say he was the oldest starting pitcher last year that made a start. And that was cool.
Yeah, he's pretty much was, done.
And then a week later, after he was released by Kansas City, he played in an adult baseball game a week later in Boston.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. You just never know. We'll wait and see.
That's baseball, man. That's just baseball.
And these old guys, man, you can't count them out, especially pitchers. You're seeing pitchers, still getting signed by teams, like you were talking about Verlander, Mad Max. We'll see what happens. But, I was thinking for the next episode, so far for the off season. We may start with the NL next week, make it like a part 2 to it, go into the AL, look at all the divisions, give them an A, a B, or a C. I know what I'd like to give the Cubbies, but we'll save that. Make sure, by the way, guys, you check out too Cubs on Tap with Tyler Edmonds and all the other guys there. If you just want to go down a rabbit hole like we like to every now and then on the Chicago Cubs, if that's your team. So check them out. Make sure you give us a like, comment, subscribe on the videos, on our socials, Dugout Dispatch. And y'all stick around because we'll be back for another episode. Happy New Year again, everybody. Happy New Year, Tyler. And we'll see you guys on the next one.
Later.